la Cypress, Gil en el ring, el chicha loco. Así déjale.
Ese infierno que me vio crecer, me verán caer, no me dejo vencer. Ese infierno que me vio crecer, me verán caer, no me dejo vencer. De cora soy de Infernus clica, del lado uno mamacita, donde se mira en la mano la mala vida, la malquerida, los casi muertos, donde se huele el aroma del mañanero. Soy callejero, un bandolero, sé a dónde voy, aquí estoy en el pinche perro. Siendo sincero, Pepe Guizar me vigila, de buen titán porque lo dice la tía. De esquina a esquina, dos colonias calientitas, la buen titán, Santa Cecilia, un comandado, respeto pa' todo el barrio, pa'l tripa loco, chavador y el pinche diablo, pa'l Barrabás, el padrino y el ausente, que en el gabacho me respalda varia gente, pa'l Jimbo loco, para el papa de los depas, para el Joaquín y mi carnalote el Cera. Es el infierno quien me vio crecer, me verán caer, no me dejo vencer. Es el infierno quien me vio crecer, me verán caer, no me dejo vencer. Fútbol es mi pinche jando, si me está oyendo es para ustedes. Ahí me saluda la banda y que no se alteren. No pasa nada, aquí los perros son contados. ¿Qué onda tacón? Cuídeme al cabé que es vago. A lo maleante le gustaba vivirla. Soldado contra enemigos no lo olvidan. Causaste daño, defendiste el territorio. Wala maldito, tampoco se olvida el cholo. Es el infierno, paro triple pa' mi gente. Sé con quién ando hasta los huesos, la IS. De sur a norte, la IS locos. Desde mocoso se le está haciendo un polvo. Miran la tranza, vale verga, aquí se quedan. Aquí se arrana solo el perro que es de guerra. Las cosas cambian, aquí se sientan. Infernus clica 21 para el que quiera.
Police in Jalisco, Mexico say they now believe 3 film students that went missing last month were killed by the cartel and dissolved in acid. The students went missing while filming a school project at a location that was apparently being watched by the Jalisco New Generation Cartel during a press conference on Monday. Police said they believe the students were taken to another location and killed before being taken to a third location where their bodies were dissolved in sulfuric acid. Police told Reuters news agency that the cartel thought the students were members of a rival gang. Director Guillermo del Toro sent out a tweet in Spanish that translates, "Words are not enough to understand the dimension of this craziness. 3 students murdered and dissolved in acid. The why is incomprehensible. The how is terrifying." The Jalisco Attorney General's office says 2 men have been arrested and there are arrest orders for 4 others. Matt Uris for CBS.
What's the deal, my people? Thank you for joining me on my channel, Panama's OG Truth. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me right now. And today, we're going to be covering a young man by the name of Christian Gutierrez, better known as QBA. And if you don't know the name, if the name don't ring a bell, after I said what I had to say, after I done broke this shit down the way I know how to, raw and uncut, you'll know who I'm talking about. And his name back in 2018 was buzzing. And when I say it was buzzing for the wrong reasons, okay? So let me take you back, like I said, and let me paint the picture so you can understand the scenario where this takes place, okay? Of course, we're talking about Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico, okay? They're known for good food, good tequila, soccer, a lot of good things. But what a lot of people don't realize is Guadalajara also has one of the biggest, most treacherous slums in Mexico. Okay? And a lot of street gangs are constantly jockeying for position. Who's gonna control, certain things in the city. Okay? And in the late 90s, early 2000s, you had a certain entity that was not a regular street gang. It was not the police. Those are the two entities that have been in Jalisco, Guadalajara, fighting for control. And all of a sudden, you had a third entity that came in, like they say, kicking ass and asking questions later. And they will be what you call El Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, CJNG. Okay? And that translates to Cartel Jalisco New Generation. All right? They will be the new big boys. They will be the new big bullies trying to take over the game. And when I say the game, all and every illicit activities in Guadalajara, Mexico. And just keep in mind, out of the states that Mexico has, they're imprisoned at least in 32 of them. All right? They are constantly expanding. They're constantly growing. And it wouldn't be no different back then. Okay? And QBA being what you call a pandillero, a street gang person, somebody that grew up gang banging, he will be forced to either choose rap, because he was starting his rap career. He had a lot of buzz, like I said. On YouTube, he was getting a lot of views. People were contacting him about throwing concerts. He was getting a buzz. But in Mexico, especially back then, it's not like in the States. In the States, you have more of a flexibility. You connect with the right people, you're able to get yourself put on. Next thing you know, you have a contract, a record contract. A record label reaches out to you and hands you that opportunity. In Mexico, it's not that easy. Okay? You literally have to get it out the mud. And it wouldn't be no different for QBA. So he's doing this rap thing, like I said, catching that buzz. And a lot of his content was dark, street, and it had to do a lot with heavy drug use. Okay? Besides your normal weed smoking, he would preach a lot of meth smoking, a lot of even crack smoking. I mean, him and his people, his clique, they were out of control, but they were buzzing in the street. His music was catching a following. So there's no telling what he could have done if he would have had the right people behind him. Okay? And it's kind of fucked up because he didn't have that choice. So when I see people commenting on QBA and they say, well, fuck, how was he working for the cartel? Because he was tapped by the cartel. And they were like, look, man, we hear that you're looking for work. You're complaining about not making enough money to support your family. So we're going to give you some work. Now, this is what I mean about having options. When you talk about working for a cartel, the first thing that comes to your mind is selling dope. Okay? That's already a treacherous, dangerous job anywhere in the world where you engage in it. All right? You could easily lose your life or end up in handcuffs. Okay? But like I said, he didn't have no choice. So they said, we'll give you some work, but it's going to be the work that we want you to do. So they tell him, look, man, we got some dead bodies and we need them gone. And the way we're going to have you get rid of them, we're going to have you get rid of them by putting them in sulfuric acid in these big ass barrels. Okay? And what the sulfuric acid does, it breaks down the human body to where it's basically like a mush, like a soup. Okay? I believe in Mexico, they call it pozole, something like that. It's a Mexican soup. Okay? It's a traditional Mexican soup. And when they would pour this soup out of these barrels, it would basically look like a mush. They would literally have to go through this mush and find the smallest little bones to make sure that it was a human body that they were, extracting out of these barrels. So this became a method, and I believe a guy from Tijuana, a couple of years earlier, he was responsible for over 300 people that he was dissolving in acid. And this is what literally like put the world on notice of how the cartel was getting rid of bodies. They were dissolving bodies in sulfuric acid in these big old industrial barrels. So they asked QBA to get rid of these bodies by dissolving them in the sulfuric acid. Now, you gotta be one sick puppy, one sick motherfucker to do this shit. Let's just get that understood right now. This is not like putting somebody a gun to their head and blowing their brain. Nah, that's too easy. To put somebody in a sulfuric acid barrel is just, it's a different level, okay? And anybody can say, yeah, I could do it, but when you actually got to do it, like I said, it's a whole different ball game. And some of them were dead, some of them were not dead. In other words, putting them in there alive. And back in 2018, 3 students, film students in their early 20s, will come up missing.
3 vanished film students, whose case had become emblematic of Mexico's 30,000 missing people, were killed after being caught unaware in the midst of a drug gang turf battle, officials say. Prosecutors in the western state of Jalisco said late Monday the 3 were abducted by the Jalisco New Generation Cartel because they were filming a school project at a house used by the rival Nueva Plaza gang. The students were using the residence on the outskirts of the city of Guadalajara because it belonged to one of their aunts. Without knowing it, the students were in a very dangerous place which was being watched by hitmen from the New Generation Cartel, the prosecutor's office said. The aunt was implicated in a human trafficking case involving prostitution at massage parlors in the city of Guadalajara. The students' fate horrified Mexico. Prosecutors said they were killed and their bodies dissolved in acid. Words can't describe the dimension of this madness, Oscar-winning Mexican director Guillermo del Toro wrote on Twitter. 3 students are killed and dissolved in acid. The why is unthinkable, the how is terrifying. The killing appeared to be a case of mistaken identity. Prosecutors said the New Generation Cartel lookouts who were watching the house mistook the students for rival gang members and abducted them on a road after they left the house. Prosecutors said the gang took the students to a safe house and interrogated them. The gang beat one student so badly he died, leading them to kill the other 2, officials said. They then took them to another house, where prosecutors found jugs and tubs of sulfuric acid. Traces of blood and the DNA of 2 of the students were found at the houses. 2 suspects have been arrested and several others are being sought. Officials close to the investigation said one of the suspects arrested is a local rapper who has some following on social media.
They went to a ranch, a property, to do some filming. Like I said, they were going to school to become film directors, videographers, okay? And they were using their ranch as a staging point to do some work. Well, one of the young men, his aunt, had been, how can I say, renting her property to a cartel, to a faction of the rivals that NJG, Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, was at war with. And they have what they call halcones, people that watch the property, camp outside and watch this property. And what they were watching for is they were waiting for one of the leaders of this other cell that they were at war with to pull up. He had just got out of prison, and they had got intel that they were bringing this shot caller to this ranch to get some pussy. One of the young man's aunt, like I said, she was renting her property out, and they were using her property as a whorehouse, as a hoe house, where they were selling pussy, prostitution. So when they see these 3 students pull up, automatically they think, well, shit, here these fools go. They kidnap them, they beat one of the students to death, they end up killing all 3 of them. Okay? And they tell QBA, we need you to get rid of the bodies. And you're gonna put them in these barrels with sulfuric acid. He said that he didn't realize who these students were. He just did what they told him. Hey, these are our rivals, these are people that we're at war with, get rid of them. And when I say the most stupidity that I hear people say is, well, how much was he getting paid for this? Okay? Because it shows that he was getting paid 3,000 pesos a week. That comes to the equivalent a little bit over, $159, about $160 a week for getting rid of dead bodies for the cartel. That's not a lucrative trade, okay? High risk, but not lucrative, okay? Even if you're getting paid $160 per body, it's still not worth it. Like I said, high risk, but low wage, okay? And people say, well, if he had his rap career, he also had a clothing line he was trying to start. He's also a father. Why would he be involved with the cartel, with the Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, and be helping them or working for them getting rid of bodies by dissolving them in acid? Well, it's not that easy, y'all. And this is what where I'm breaking this shit down. Here in the United States, like I said, you got options. If you want to do certain things, if you want to get in certain fields, you can. Okay, it's your option. But when you are in a certain part of geographical area in Mexico that's controlled by these cartels, you don't have no options. So when they approach you and they say, hey, we want you to do this for us, and we're gonna pay you whatever the fuck we want to pay you, you better not say shit, you better not protest, because if you do, you'll end up dead. That's exactly what happens. Okay? The Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación is one of the most prominent and powerful cartels in Mexico, period. These people have hundreds of soldiers, police, federales, you name it, on their payroll. And a lot of these government officials, when they try to say, you know what, I'm not gonna work with you, it don't matter how much money you put in front of me, they end up dead. So if they're killing cops, if they're killing soldiers, if they're killing police chiefs, you don't think they'll kill a young rapper from the streets?
Hasta León, al Jairo López. Hoy, ¿cómo empieza el beat? Yo, yo, yo. SQPA, motherfucker. Desde el infierno. Yo, hey, pásame ese micro, yo le doy inicio. Subir si son mi vicio, soy así porque Dios quiso. El avión no aterrizo, a veces ando pingo, ando en modo peleonero y ando así con delini. Estamos en modo guerra, llegó la mera pena. Una balacera como quiera se la llevan. La orden cruel y el infierno se la llega. Como lo quieran, como quiera se me sientan. No, escucha ese beat, está bien vergas ese beat.
A young rapper that's basically rapping from what he sees the cartel doing in his neighborhood. Like, he was literally deceptioning, telling the story of what he would see every day in his neighborhood. Okay? In other words, telling what the street life was about in Guadalajara, Mexico. Okay? And the cartel wouldn't give him no option. They said, we hear that you're looking for work. We got some work for you. Now you're gonna do it, and you're gonna do it like this. No questions asked. And he talked about being afraid of turning the cartel down. In other words, if he would have refused to do their work, he would end up dead. He would end up in one of those barrels. So what I want to bring to you guys is, like I said, how we take for granted the life that we have over here in the United States of America. And you have a lot of people that complain. Like I said, everybody has their own lane. Everybody has their own agenda. We just happen to be in a land where we have way more opportunity. We have choices. Everybody named mama, every time you look up, you have a new rapper that's coming out. Everybody named mama want to rap. Like I said in my previous videos, some of y'all good, some of y'all straight up garbage. That's not for me to talk about. That's not for me to decide. I'm just keeping it real. Okay, but you have the choice to become what you want to become, even if it's a rapper. Easily. Anybody goes online, comes up with a name, whatever. All of a sudden, it's all what you can be, like the army. All right, be all you can be. But in Mexico, they don't have that choice. And like I said, ain't no telling what he would have been able to do. QBA. All I'm saying is he didn't have that choice. They either told him, you dissolve bodies for us, or you end up dead. And they wouldn't stop with him. They probably would have killed his family too. That's just a fact of life. And it's sad because, like I said, man, I'm not saying that he was a prolific rapper. I'm not saying that he was, the next gangster shit, you know, coming out of the game. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that he had a buzz, he had a following, and that's where it starts. He had potential. So if he would have been able to focus on his craft and associate himself with the right people, there's no telling what he would have been able to do. But he didn't have that choice. Like I said, $160 a week to dissolve human bodies, an asset for the cartel. If that's not wicked, if that's not sick, if that's not sad, I don't know what else to tell you. And like I said, these are stories that you don't hear about too much in the United States, but they're facts. Especially when you come from a background like QBA came from. Like I said, this is all he saw. And when he tried to better himself and provide for his family, the cartel, they came knocking, all right, but they didn't give him that option. So when I hear people say, well, it didn't make any sense for him to be doing this for the cartel for $160 a week, you know, how stupid could he been? I'm like, it's easy for you to say that. You over here where you have options. You don't know what it is. You don't know what it is to grow up in a neighborhood like that and you have people that are telling you either you do this or you and your family come up dead. You'll end up in that barrel of sulfuric acid. He knew that shit. So it was basically, if I tell him no, I end up dead. My family end up dead. Or I do what they tell me and I try to do my rap and get out of this shit. He would end up getting caught, getting charged, him and some other people, other cats, but they didn't catch everybody that was involved in this shit. And this happens in Mexico all the time. You know, they throw somebody out there to catch the heat, to catch the fall, and the other people behind it, they stay hush hush. Nobody knows. They continue doing what they do. It's a fact of the game. And it wouldn't be any different for QBA. So as we speak right now, he sits in a maximum security prison in Mexico. They still haven't gave him a sentence. And that's another thing. The judicial system in Mexico is garbage. Okay? They'll drag this shit on and on and on and on. Like I said, you don't know if you're going to go to court. You don't know if they're going to dismiss it. They don't know if they're going to kill you. It's an unknown feeling when you're in prison waiting for a trial date to go to court, especially for homicide. He's basically like the downfall guy. He's taking the rap. They're putting it on him. And from what I hear, he's not in general population. He can't be. If he is in general population, he's a dead man walking. Because he told. He gave up, you know, the cartel, the people that he did this for. So, you know, it's fucked up because at the end of the day, they came to him, they told him either you do this or you end up dead. Flat out. So he did what he had to do and he ended up giving them out. He ended up ratting on them. And now he's in PC, protective custody. They'll probably still kill him because they still could get to him back there. Or if he does, you know, able to get out of prison one day, he's a dead man walking. And this is the fact that a lot of people, like I said, don't realize that when you come in an environment like that, where he comes from, you don't have no choices. And that's what I'm trying to tell you guys right now. We have choices. A lot of us make the wrong choices, but it's not because somebody made us. It's because we wanted to. In the case of QBA, he didn't have no choices. He's basically a victim of his environment. Okay? Either was get down with the cartel business or you end up dead and your family end up dead. He chose to get down with the cartel business and it still didn't work out for him. Like I said, he sits in a prison. His life is in danger constantly. He'll never be able to have that freedom feeling on him again. He'll be a marked man for the rest of his life. And that's the sad story of QBA. Like I said, has some type of talent, probably could have done something. But life, you know, throws you certain things, and if you can't handle them, if you're not in the position to handle them, this is what happens. And there wouldn't be any reason that QBA, you know, could do anything to get out this. I mean, how do you get out of some shit like that? So it's sad, but you know, like I said, this is the world that we live in. I just wanted to bring this shit to you guys, break it down to you guys, and show you, like I said, everybody's not fortunate like we are here in the United States of America. I mean, hip hop has touched all kinds of people around the world. Some of us are able to do it, some of us are not able to do it. And the ones that try to do it, they're not as fortunate. I appreciate y'all joining me. I appreciate y'all giving me this platform. If you like anything that I said, if you have any questions, any comments, if you from that Guadalajara area, man, hit me up, man. Like I said, I try to go and hit different perspectives, bring you a different light to the street life, what it brings to. Like I said, it's only one-way road. And at the end of that road, you have two openings, penitentiary or death. Either way, it's not fun. To the next one, much love. Hit that subscribe button. If you didn't like what I said, I don't give a fuck. Hit that subscribe button. Like I said, man, you're tuning in for a reason. Alright? You want to hear that heat? Give me a reason to give you that heat. Much love and God bless. Panama's OG Truth.
Los maté más de una vez. Yo lo juré por mis bebés y los maté otra vez. Ey, mírenme bien, han cambiado los papeles. Estilo fino sigue siendo como debe. Ser como un monstruo me propuse para este año. Varios me dejaron pero no dejo mi barrio. Estilo sicario siciliano pero bueno a lo gangsta man. Puro veneno de catego. Ya de la buena de casa, aquí ya nadie me para. Mi mamá se preocupa, la casa llena de damas. Para la fama que se carga siciliano, mírenme bien, de su cuento soy el malo.
Yuri, Heidi y Mor están matando la liga. Los nuevos dueños de toda la avenida. Será imposible podernos parar. Están hablando de mí, sigan hablando de mí.